In this series, I'll be testing all perks in the game to see which ones work, which don't, and picking the best ones based on what you need in your campaign. I've put timestamps for each perk, so feel free to jump around as needed. Let's get started. Up first, level 25 Steward perk, Frugal. Both of these perks work as advertised, reducing party wages by 5% and recruiting costs by 15%. The wage reduction is tagged Quartermaster and can work with a companion, but the recruitment cost can only work for your main character or a companion leading their own party. Now let's look at Warrior's Diet. Both perks are working as described, reducing food consumption by 10% and removing the -2 morale penalty from having only one food type. Again, the food consumption is tagged Quartermaster and can work with a companion, but the morale perk will only work with your main character or a companion leading a party. For most campaigns, Frugal is going to be the better pick, as wage reduction will save us more money than reducing food consumption. For a bandit campaign where obtaining food is a challenge, Warrior's Diet can be a great pick. Both secondary perks are mediocre, and the pick should be based on the primary perk alone. At level 50, we have Drill Sergeant. Both perks are working, giving a passive 2 XP to all troops in the party per day, and reducing garrison wages by 5%. The first perk is tagged Quartermaster and will work on companions, while the second perk is tagged Governor and will only work on companions and not our main character. The other option is 7 Veterans. Both perks are working, giving +4 XP to tier 4 and tier 5 units per day, as well as a +1 militia per day. As with the other perk, the first is for Quartermaster and will work with anyone, while the second perk will only work for companions. For a main character, the preference is Drill Sergeant because it has a bigger impact on lower tier troops leveling up. Tier 4 units don't have as hard a time leveling up compared to level 1 recruits. For the Governor pick, Drill Sergeant is great if you rely more on a garrison to defend, while 7 Veterans is better if you prefer militia to defend with. Keep in mind, militia are free units that cost no money or food to maintain, and garrison troops can be starved out. It's for this reason I prefer 7 Veterans. At level 75, we start with Stiff Upper Lip. Both of these perks work, giving 10% food consumption reduction when in an army and reducing garrison wages for castles by 20%. Note that for the first perk, you can either lead an army or join somebody else's for this to work. And for the second perk, it does not work with towns. The other perk option is Sweatshops. Both of these work as advertised, boosting workshop output by 20% and increasing the building rate of siege engines by 20%. A quick note here, the workshops were tested using the mod Workshops Completed and displayed the output bonuses exactly as it is in the code. The second perk works for both ranged siege engines like Trebuchet and Catapult, as well as rams and siege towers. For our main character, Sweatshops is amazing for both the Workshops perk as well as the siege engine building speed. Note that workshop output is tagged as personal and will only work for our main character and not on companions. Stiff Upper Lip's food reduction can be a good pick for companions leading their own party since they can't own workshops and they rarely lead sieges themselves. Finally, Stiff Upper Lip is the only Governor option. For level 100, we start with Efficient Campaigner, which wins the award for worst formatting in the full game release.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the f?
Both perks work, but the first part actually gives 2 extra food per rating tick instead of just 1. The second perk does reduce wages by 25% while in an army. Paid and Promise also works correctly with the first perk reducing the upfront cost of hiring a companion as well as daily wages by 25%. The second perk gives XP for each piece of gear donated, which can be done by discarding gear on the inventory screen. The XP your troops get is based on the tier of the item, not the value. Starting at tier 0, they get 35 XP all the way up to tier 4, getting 300 XP. Tier 5 and 6 also give 300 XP. Again, keep in mind that value doesn't change the XP donated, so these 3 helmets all give 300 XP each, even though the price is radically different. This is going to be a tough pick as both options are good. When it comes to our main character, Efficient Campaigner can be great for bandit campaigns with lots of rating. Paid and Promises is a must-have for companion-heavy campaigns for the wage reduction. Both of these are tagged Party Leader and will only work on our main character or a companion leading their own party, so focus on the second perk for companions. When it comes to the second perk, I prefer Efficient Campaigner for the wage reduction. But if you need to level up troops quickly, then Paid and Promise can make a huge difference. Level 125 Logistician. Both perks work here as described. For the first perk, you need to have one more rideable mount than you have troops on foot to get the bonus. Keep in mind, mounted units don't count for this, including your main character. The Governor perk does add 10% to the tax income. For Giving Hands, both perks also work correctly. The weapons donations works the same as the armor donations. Tier 0 gives 35 XP, Tier 1 gives 75, all the way up to Tier 4 through 6, giving 300 XP. The value of the weapon does not affect the XP donated. It's solely based on the tier of the item. The Governor perk does correctly add 10% to the collected tariff. When picking a Quartermaster, take Logistician if you're using mostly low-tier troops or have issues with low morale and troops fleeing early in battle. Personally, I never have issues with morale and prefer Giving Hands for the donation XP. For a Governor, Logistician should be the pick 99% of the time, as tax income generally makes 2 to 4 times more than tariff income. If you've got a town that has a ton of trade caravan traffic, but really low prosperity, then Giving Hands can potentially make more profit. Level 150 Aid Corps. Both perks work as advertised. Injured troops have their wages reduced to 0 until back to full health. The Governor perk does increase hearth growth by exactly 20%. Relocation likewise works as described. The Quartermaster perk does increase the influence gained for donating troops to allied garrisons by 25%. The Governor perk increases the construction bonus by 20%, but do keep in mind that towns have a higher base construction bonus, so the effect is much better for towns than for castles. When picking for a Quartermaster, I prefer Relocation when playing as a king, vassal, or mercenary, and Aid Corps otherwise. The problem with Aid Corps is the wage reduction only helps if the troops stay injured while the daily wage tick happens. If most injuries heal up before the next daily wage tick, the perk is totally useless. When picking for a Governor, both are amazing to have. Aid Corps helps villages increase to the next tier of production and food generation, and is a must-have if they aren't at 600 hearths or above yet. Relocation can help increase building speed by a fair amount, and is nice to have when upgrading buildings. Level 175 Gourmet. We've got our first major case of Tailworld's math here for both perks. Gourmet works, but instead of doubling the morale bonus from food, it actually triples it. For the Governor perk, I wasn't able to get this one working. I tried several different towns and castles with and without a garrison, but wasn't able to see any difference with the perk turned on. If you know how this one works, please let me know in the comments so I can retest it. For sound reserves, both perks work properly. Upgrade costs do get rounded, so it's actually better than 10% in some cases. Food consumption likewise gets rounded up to our benefit, giving more than the advertised 10%. When picking for a Quartermaster, both perks have their use. Gourmet can be helpful to increase morale up to 75, which is when passive leadership XP is earned. I don't think morale is that important, but if it's a challenge getting to 75 morale, then consider this perk. Sound Reserve isn't all that impactful. 10% upgrade cost reduction can add up over the course of a campaign, but high tier units with a good surgeon rarely die, so it's mostly wasted. Reduced food consumption can help in long sieges where we need to starve out the garrison, but we could also just buy more grain beforehand. The Governor perk isn't working, so don't bother. Level 200 Contractors. Unfortunately, not all of this perk is functioning still. Let's start with the broken part. Upgrade costs are supposed to decrease by 25% for mercenary troops, but in testing I wasn't able to get it working. I tried the new and the old mercenary units, but the upgrade cost remained unchanged. Luckily, the wage reduction does still work and gives a 25% wage discount. The Governor perk does increase town building effectiveness by 10%. As we can see here, militia increased from 1.5 to 1.65 and influence gained from 1.5 to 1.65. It works for every single building type, food production, loyalty gain, etc. Forced labor works as advertised for both perks. Each troop is able to hold 20 units of cargo. With 100 prisoners and the perk active, we see another 2,000 units of storage. The Governor perk does work, but there's some Tailworld's math going on. With 100 prisoners, I calculate a 31% increase if we include the negative loyalty debuff, but the bonus should be 33%. Either way, it does increase construction speed by a good amount. When picking for a Quartermaster, pick Contractors if you plan on using mercenary units, and forced labor otherwise. For Governor, both options are really good. Forced labor is best if you still have a lot of buildings to upgrade, while contractors is amazing for all other scenarios, as it will increase food production, loyalty gain, tax income, influence gain, literally everything your buildings produce. Level 225 Arenicos' horses. Both of these perks work as advertised. It increases troop carry capacity by 10%. One thing to note, companions and our main character do not count as troops and don't get the bonus. The trade penalty reduction works for both the buy and the sell, although the benefit is much bigger on the selling side. We save only 300 dinars on the buy, but make an extra 1300 dinars on the sell side for the exact same set amounts. Take notice, the secondary perk is tagged personal, so a companion in our main party will not get the bonus here, but a companion leading their own party or running a caravan will. Both perks for Arenicos' mules work properly. We see a 20% increase in pack animal carry capacity with the perk active. The secondary perk also works, and again we see a much bigger effect on the selling side of the transaction when compared to the buy side. If cargo capacity is important, then Arenicos' mules is the pick. Troops can carry only 20 units each, while each pack animal can carry 100 units, which is 5 times more. Not to mention the bonus to carry capacity is twice as much. When it comes to the secondary perk, both options are decent for trading or a caravan leader, but won't make a huge difference to the bottom line. That said, I still prefer Arenicos' mules. Level 250 Master of Planning. Both perks work here. We see a 40% reduction in food consumption when sieging down a fief. We also see the daily default bonus for festival and games increase from 3 to 3.9, which is actually a 30% increase, not 20%. Let's hope Tailworlds doesn't watch this video and fix it. For Master of Warcraft, we see both perks working without any Tailworlds math. While in a siege camp, we get a 25% discount on troop wages. For the Governor perk, the wording is a bit odd, but it reduces the food consumption caused by prosperity. In this case, we go from 95 per day down to 90.25 per day, which is exactly 5%. For Quartermaster, I find it hard to recommend Master of Planning, as buying a little extra food before sieging is easy and very inexpensive, but saving 25% of troop wages makes a huge difference. Master of Warcraft is my preference. For the Governor pick, both options have some merit. Master of Planning is great when all buildings are upgraded, or if you want to boost specific aspects of your fief like militia gain. Master of Warcraft can help a fief reach higher levels of prosperity since it moves the starvation equilibrium point higher by consuming less food. For the final perk, level 275 Price of Loyalty, there's a huge mistake. The perk states that all benefits increase by 0.5 per level after level 200, but doing some basic math proves it's actually level 250. For food consumption at level 275, we see 12.5% decrease, not 37.5%, which the perk states. The wage reduction matches the same 12.5 number as well. At max level 330, we see a maximum reduction of 40% to food and wages. For the Governor part of the perk, we see the same issue. The bonus should be 37.5 based on the wording, but it's actually 12.5 at level 275, which increases the income by only 166 dinars. At the max level 330, it increases income by 532, which is a much more respectable sum. Even with the nerfs to this perk, it's still worth picking up and trying to reach level 330. And if you want to take advantage of these awesome Governor perks, check out this video next where I cover everything there is to know about fiefs.